In this training video, we will be covering how to install TPO Field Seams.
Today we're going to review the application for automatic welding on our field seams of our TPO sheets, specifically relating to the start-stop areas of the automatic welder. The first thing that we want to do when welding any seams is we want to perform a test weld to ensure that our welds are done properly. For our test weld, we're going to weld our TPO at 12.1 feet per minute at a temperature of 1022 degrees. So what we've done is we've cut an inch-wide piece out of the seam that we just welded, and we want to pull this apart to check to make sure that we have a full 1.5 inches of delamination. As you can see, our automatic is set up the way that it should be, as we're not burning the seams and we're getting a full 1.5 inch weld. So what we're going to do here right now is we're going to weld these seams with an automatic welder. What it's going to do is we're going to start welding right here, and then we're going to complete this by completing the start-stop of the automatic welder. Please note that we dropped a metal plate onto the sheet of TPO so that when we bring the automatic welder down to the sheet, it's not going to create a burn in the sheet. One of the most problematic welds in TPO welding are the areas in which this automatic robot starts welding and we have to complete the weld by hand welding. This is oftentimes the case when we have parapet walls and perimeter edges in which we cannot run the automatic all the way to the edge. So with this seam, we're going to weld the start-stop the proper way. The first step that we're going to want to take to complete the weld of the start-stop is by putting our hand into the seam and lightly pulling it apart. What we want to do is free up the seam in the weld from any areas that are only partially welded right at the edge of the weld. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put our heat gun in there and we're going to hold it for a little bit and then continue the weld out. After everything's been completed welded, all seams need to be probed on a roof. But it's especially important to always check our more critical areas that are more prone to failure, such as start-stops. A common mistake made when welding start-stops is people do not pull this weld apart, and as well as that is when they put their heat gun in, they just begin to weld quickly. What this does is it creates a void right at our start-stop. So what we're going to do is show what that looks like and how to repair it. So on this seam, when we came to probe it, what we did is we found a void right on the start-stop. This was caused by not pulling the seam apart a little bit and to allow our heat gun to come in, wait a little while before we welded it out. So what we have to do is we have to repair this void. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna open up the void a little bit. Then what we're gonna do is put our heat gun in, lightly weld the void back down, and the last step in this process is what we're gonna do is we're gonna center a reinforced patch over the void, ensuring that our patch is large enough to allow for an 1.5-inch weld in all directions around the void.